Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back. All right, all you positive heads, welcome back to another episode. Here we go again. Grateful as always to be here with you all. I'm going to dive right in today and read a review. This is a review that got me going today. Definitely got my juices flowing, by Maggie Rose Is, and the title is No Words, and of course it's on iTunes. There are no words that do justice to the wonder, happiness, and magic that have entered my life since tuning into this beautiful podcast only 3 weeks ago. But I will try anyway. Brandon, you are such a wonderful human, and you have helped me do a complete 180 on how I perceive my reality. I listen to you basically whenever I get the chance and walk away more uplifted and joyful than I think I've ever known. And as highly as I'm speaking of you and this labor of love, I'm still sitting here like shaking my phone trying to get it to fully understand the magic. It truly cannot be verbalized, only felt in the deepest and truest part of your soul. The past 3 days, all those magical feelings manifested themselves in my world in the form of some mind-blowing winks from the universe on almost an hourly basis. I work in retail, so I'm constantly interacting with people. This weekend, I had an eye-opening and magical conversation with 2 customers, both of whom made my heart smile in ways it had forgotten how to do. I recommended your podcast to them, knowing with certainty they would take my advice and tune in. How beautiful this all is. Again, no words, only awe. Thank you, Brandon. And no, I will continue to spread the word because you are the magical person who has shown me the truth. And I know the best way to thank you is to give others the same opportunity. And then a lot of smiley emojis with arms out for a hug. Aw, thank you, Maggie, for the virtual hug, sending many back your way. And isn't it such an exciting time when you're having that aha moment? And of course, to play a small role in your aha moment is equally magical for me as well. And I'm humbled and honored to do so. And now, of course, you're spreading the love. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do that, of course, too. And you also realize, of course, it's helped by helping others as we wake up. The only thing to do, the most rewarding thing I found to do is to help others to remember their divinity, remember their true self, remember their higher self. And that's really what's happening here, Maggie. You just, right place, right time. You're ready for the information. We are doing it together. And by facilitating any part of your own awakening and remembering, rather, it's an extension of me that is remembering. And so that's what we're here to do, all of us, right? So yeah, continue to share. I really appreciate that. And those of you, out there, same thing. If you know anyone that you think is ready for this information, please share, because you never know how it's going to affect their life. And at the same time, like with Maggie, it's a gentle reminding that we're doing here. Maggie did the real work to go through all the things she's been through to come to this point in her journey. And same with all of you guys tuning in. So I applaud you for, coming out the other side. Now, the other thing that I want to point out, Maggie, and I'm not saying this will or won't happen. There is no definitive anything. Everyone has their own unique path, but a lot of times people will have these sort of vibrational elevating times, right, as you wake up, and then all kinds of reflections in your physical world, of course. But oftentimes for people, then the blockages start to appear, and then it can kind of cause, sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of experience. And I'm not saying that will or won't happen. Like I said, there is no absolutes. Maggie's journey could be completely unique and not have that sensation. But I just want to point out for any of you having those highs, just if there's ever anything that sort of starts bringing you back down, understand that's part of it too, and love that. And the more you love that and don't resist that, the more you bounce back even higher again. It is sort of like a roller coaster that we're on here, right? Continuing ever upward, but there's dips and then back up, and then a little dip and then back up higher, and then a little dip and back up higher. And that's sort of the way it flows, it seems. It is a spiral. We circle back on things that now we're ready to, process and release. And sometimes that can appear as a challenge, a new challenge, or a setback, if you will. But once you understand really what's going on, it's not a setback, it's a gift as well. And thank you once again, Maggie, for taking the time. And if you guys haven't reviewed on iTunes yet, please do so. Of course, it's the holy grail of all things podcasting, helps us to reach new people. And and of course, you can find us on all the other platforms, Google Play, any of the podcast apps, SoundCloud. We're pretty much everywhere out there. Also just to mention to you guys, the show is now, I'm very happy to announce, a part of the MindPod network. So Noah Lambert from the Synchronicity podcast, who we were on each other's shows in the last weeks, and now a part of that network of, I think there's like 15 or so podcasts, all awesome shows. So if you guys are looking to dig deeper down the rabbit hole with some other podcasts, check out MindPod. Also, if you have questions for me, I love getting questions. I'm actually going to address one today. I love getting those through the Facebook group, Positive Heads. You can share, connect with other listeners, and ask questions, or email Brandon@positivehead.com or through the positivehead.com website. So, all right. So let's see here. Today's question that I would like to address is by Callie, who actually wrote in via email. And Callie said, "Hi, Brandon. I love your podcast. I love your light. I love it all. I have a question I'm hoping you could help me with. I live in a very small, conservative, and I'd say closed-minded community. Some things are harder to address to some of my peers just because of this fact. So, because you have been the one to help guide me towards my inner self, maybe you can help me with this little thing I've been struggling with. I've been struggling lately with the idea of letting go. Now, some things are much easier to let go of, but some things are seemingly difficult. Letting go of dear friends is one of those things for me, and I'm sure it's tough for anyone. Over the past several years, though, I am incredibly abundant and beautiful souls that have touched my life. There have been 3 that have resonated so perfectly with me. I am so close to them that I have formed an extremely empathic relationship with them. I have always been an empath, but have only recently discovered this gift within these last several years. Anyways, I'm still very in touch with one of these souls, and we are actually experiencing our awakening together. However, my other 2 soul buddies seem to have started down a path that is perpendicular to mine as opposed to being parallel. I'm still in a very connected state with these 2 souls, yet we seem to be walking further and further apart. I can physically feel the connection cord between us, and it has begun to pain me. I feel like someone is trying to rip my arm off. I've come to an understanding that once a soul has achieved its purpose in your life, they will move on in one way, shape, or form. But how can you let go of something that is so attached to you? And maybe I don't want to let them go. I enjoy these souls so much, and I love them. We have created some memories that will definitely go down in the Akashic Records, smiley face, and that is why I'm having such a hard time letting go. How do you gracefully let go of something you love so much, even though letting go can take you deeper into your higher self? Anything will help. Thank you for all that you do. All the loves, Callie." I like that sign off. All the loves, Callie, right back at you. And What a great question, and what a question that we've circled in different ways at different times, on the show, and certainly we circle the same topics over and over on the show the same way. Our souls, as I mentioned, it's a spiral. We come back to lessons for further release and further clarification, further deeper understanding, and so a lot of times circling these topics, are necessary. They're a necessary part of our awakening process. Certainly for me, I've learned by just sort of continuing to look at this stuff and analyze it and vibrate with it and resonate with it. As I always say, I do this show first and foremost for myself, and the fact that you guys are all benefiting is a beautiful thing, but ultimately there are no selfless acts, right? And that's a good thing when you're doing a good kind of selfish. It's all extensions of you. You're always doing it for you. And anyway, so that's a whole nother tangent. But as far as this whole thing, I feel you, Callie. I think everyone listening feels you. And of course, as you become more aware and awakened, and your remembering is coming more into your being and more into your focus, I believe we all become more empathic, because it just makes total sense, right? That would be a part of it. You feel more fully. You feel your connections more fully. And we all get attached, right? And I believe that is really sort of a reflection of our ego state. You have your ego consciousness, and then you have your higher consciousness. You have the grander version of yourself that's expanded throughout eternity. Then you have the character that is Callie, that is Brandon, that is, and that ego self struggles with this sort of loss or apparent loss, right? That's the thing. It's an apparent loss. But as I always say, you can't ever lose anything. You can only take breaks from people. They're a part of you. These two souls, think of it like this. If you were to stay front and center in their world right now, you would actually, from what I'm hearing and assessing, and with the limited information I have, you would be doing them more harm than good. They need to grow independent of you. You're growing at a rate that's not parallel with them, right? So it creates friction. It's not a match anymore. On a temporary basis, it's not a match. Now, at a soul level, a soul family, they're your soul family. You get that, you feel that, and that's your issue. So you got to understand that sometimes you have to go your own way. Parents have to say, hey, as much as I love my child, I've got to let them go and learn their lessons. They got to learn it their way. They got to go their own way. And so that's what's happening here, it sounds like. It's understanding is, of course, the first piece to making this a little more digestible, easier to deal with. And I think, Callie, you're from what you wrote, you get it, you understand it, but it's not really helping. And one thing I'll say is, you know what, it is going to sting. There is going to be sort of grief, but the more you can bring in that understanding that this is actually good for them and good for you, and man, what a celebration it'll be when you come back together, right? And, Yoda said, train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. And the reason Yoda said this is because you're always going to lose things. But what he didn't go on to say is you're going to gain them back again. You can't ultimately lose them. It's temporary. It's people getting on and off of the bus of your life, right? They might get on at one stop. They may stay for a long time. You get off. They may get back on again 2 streets over. It's not if, but when. And if you can bring that understanding into your awareness, you can release them with love, with an open heart, that if it ever is a vibrational match for them to be in your presence in the same way, or it'll never be in the exact same way. And of course, that's the beautiful thing about reality. Every moment is precious and unique, and the circumstances and the characters involved and, all those things, it's never going to be the same way twice, right? It was funny because as I was reading this question, I scanned, I have a list of questions as I get them that I kind of archive so I can come back to them. Like this one was written in a month or so ago. And there's another question, and the person was using the word impermanence. And it's funny, I was just scanning over. I wasn't even trying to read that person's question, but I saw impermanence. And in my mind's eye, I had just read Callie's question, and I saw impermanence written out as I am dash permanence. And then I went back and I looked at it again, and it wasn't written out that way at all, but I saw it that way. And then it's like, oh, okay. Maybe I saw it this way for a reason. Impermanence, right? That's what we're talking about here. Nothing's permanent. but then I'm permanence. You are the permanent. You are the thing that never changes, Callie. You are your own soulmate, best friend, all those things, right? So I'm permanence amongst impermanence, right? I thought that was such a beautiful experience for me to see something not as it was, but then to get a greater insight. I love it when words have that sort of double meaning, when you can break it up and see how things are encoded in our words and our language, right? Our spelling, casting spells with these words we are. And as Yoda would say, and so you are the permanence amongst the impermanence, and fall in love with never losing yourself. Isn't that a great thing, that you're never going to go somewhere and you're not there with you? What a wonderful gift that is. Let's be grateful for what we have. And also to know that whatever as Rumi said, don't grieve. Anything you lose comes around in another form. Now, understand, these people that you're talking to, they're a reflection of a part of your soul, right? And you're grieving losing them. But understand that, in order for the next version of reflection to come into your world, let's say you need to free up the energetic real estate, if you will, so that you can make way for this next version of that connection. So whatever they represent to you, the universe can show you mirrored in many ways, in new ways, and ways that are even greater and grander. And when you understand that you bring that sense of excitement to it, and you focus more on the excitement in the next stage instead of what you've lost. And if you can shift your perspective based off of this understanding, you will then expedite yourself into the next stage instead of holding on to the pain of the past, right? And I can relate to this. I can relate to this with a past partner. I've never been an attached person. I've never been an addictive personality, but I have an ex-partner from years ago that, there's this connection that's just been like painful, and I can feel her, like, no matter what I do, it's like she still pops into my head every day. And it's somewhat painful. And even exploring this today helps me to don't be hung up on any of that. Like that, what you cherish about that unique individual, there's many more versions, and maybe even more evolved versions that are better, not better suited for you, because there is no better. It's all reflections of the same perfect soul, right? The source is perfect in all its many forms and emanations. But, that may have been the caterpillar version of that energy, that soul, that friend. And now you're ready for the butterfly version, right? It's going to be a different type of experience. And, Barbara Howitt said, just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, she became a butterfly. And, that's what we're doing here. We're changing, we're growing. When you sort of let go of the old world, the new one can emerge. So I also found a clip from someone I wasn't familiar with at all, but I really liked what she had to say. She's doing similar good work out there, it seems. Her name is Heather Waxman. I found it on her YouTube page. And the title of this little clip is called How to Let Go of Someone You Love and Part with Peace. Let's take a listen.
Hey you, welcome back. Today I'm going to share with you some really useful tips to help you learn to let go with love of somebody that you love. So whether that is a romantic relationship, whether that is a friendship, or whether that is a family relationship, this vlog is for you, and really it's for everyone, because we've all been through this. You might be going through it now, and if not, you will go through it in the future. Womp womp. Sorry, I gotta be real with you. We gotta be funny. We gotta insert some humor in there too. But before we get to the actual steps, we need to get real about how we've been seeing relationships for our whole life. And this isn't completely your fault. This is something that society has imposed onto you, and perhaps you just took it in, right? We don't really learn how to experience and view relationships from a spiritual perspective. It's not something we're taught, right? So society, what society does is it tries to convince us to equate the success of the relationship with the length of time that relationship has endured. So it sounds something like this. The longer that I've been together with my partner, the more important our relationship is. The longer I've been together with my partner, the more successful my relationship is. You could say the same thing for your friendships or your family members, right? And so when we've been in a friendship or a romantic relationship or a family relationship for quite some time, even if we haven't been, but particularly when it's been a really long length of time, and then we feel in our guts that inner knowing that it's time to part, that the purpose of the relationship has been served, we feel an immense sense of guilt and shame over that, and confusion, understandably so, in large part because we believe that the relationship has failed, because society tells us that when something ends, right, when that relationship ends, in whatever form that may be for you, that the relationship has failed, right? And that's not true. We're going to unlearn that right here, right now. And I know, because I've experienced all of it firsthand. I've experienced it with an extremely close family member, which is incredibly heart-wrenching. I've experienced it with romantic relationships, and I've experienced it with friends, and I've watched the hundreds of women who I have coached throughout these years go through this too. And I want to offer you some really beautiful action steps that you can take in your own life starting now that will really help you with this. The first is that we need to redefine what a relationship is. It's really not until we go through these periods of loss that we realize that I don't even know how I define a relationship. What is a relationship? Well, from a spiritual perspective, when any two souls meet, it is not an accident. There are no accidents. It is synchronistic. And as we form a relationship, romantic, family, or friend, or otherwise, we enter into an invisible sacred contract with each other. And we silently, subconsciously agree, this is from a spiritual perspective, to join together, to teach and to learn from each other until we have reached our highest potential as it relates to the purpose of this relationship. And when one or both of us have reached our highest potential as it relates to the purpose of this relationship, we will then feel, both of us, because we are connected and we're joined together, a pull to let go. We will feel a pull to let go and to move forward. This means that relationships are mini assignments within our life. Some are lifelong assignments, some last a year, some last 15 years. But this is why we enter into friendships, romantic relationships, and family relationships, because our soul is drawn to this person because our soul is saying, there's something to learn here. There's something to teach here. That's why we're brought together. So our ego wants to get really hung up on the end, right? Wants to get hung up on the end stage of that relationship. What about the new birth that's occurring, which leads me into step 2. Everything in your life, not just your life itself, but everything within your life is cyclical. In the Kundalini tradition, they call this sa, ta, na, ma. Birth, life, death, rebirth. So everything in your life, including relationships, have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But don't forget that with the end, there is a rebirth. So 2 things I want to say. When something ends, yes, that human part of us may or may not need to grieve that, and that is completely fine. But what I want to challenge you to do is to find the joy and to find the wonder in that stage from the death to the rebirth. To recognize that this relationship has served its own purpose and now it's time to let go. But when you let go, right? When you let go and you're in that end stage, you're also welcoming in something new, something better than you could possibly imagine. But if you try to stay in that space of controlling the end, trying not to make the ending of the relationship occur, then you're staying at a low vibration. And all you have to do is vibrate up to that space of willingness. And you will feel that wonder, that sense of wonder and possibility about the rebirth that is occurring in this moment at this time for you. So now you're thinking, okay, that's beautiful and great, but how do I raise my vibration up to that space of willingness? I am so glad you asked, because I have a tool for you, especially if you're going through this right now, and if you're not, when you are in the future, come back to this vlog and do it. I want you to do this practice for 30 days, and it will change everything for you, because it did for me. I really needed this a couple years ago when I was dissolving a friendship, and oh man, I can't explain to you, because it's only an experience that you can have, how much this process impacted me. And it's so simple to do, but I committed to it for 30 days, and we were able to dissolve our friendship in such a loving, gentle way. And now looking back, hindsight, we have both risen to our potential in such amazing ways. I'm so grateful that things really rolled out the way that they did. So I want you to close your eyes right now, and I want you to think, if this applies to you, of a relationship in your own life that you are ready to let go of. And I want you to see that person in front of you. And connecting you from heart to heart is a beautiful golden cord, representing the energetic cord that binds all of us when we connect, when we form relationships with one another, as we enter into the energetic fields of one another. And now I want you to see the beautiful Archangel Michael flying into this sacred space, holding beautiful golden scissors. And now watch as he cuts that cord, freeing the both of you of the past, freeing the both of you from any lingering resentment or fear or doubt, releasing you. And as that cord dissolves and falls to the floor, together we pray. We pray that you and this person find peace, love, and forgiveness exactly where you are. We pray that each of you finds joy and wonder in this in-between phase from death to rebirth. We wish peace and love upon you and upon this person. We wish nothing but the best for you and this person, and we ask that this friendship or relationship or family member relationship dissolves with love and ease. And so it is. Together we say, Amen.
So she said here, I loved this. First thing she talked about is the same thing I always say about a lot of times when we're referring to romantic relationships, but it applies across the board. People have the big misconception that something has to last forever relationship-wise in order for it to be successful. One of the biggest fallacies, untruths of, our culture. Length of time does not equate to success. Success is when you've gotten what you need from that experience, you move on, you move along energetically in your movie. They are no longer reflecting there because that real estate is needed for next. You don't hang out in third grade when you're ready for fourth, right? So I loved how she said that, and then I love how she, she talked about then of course that incorrect perception then leads us to feeling bad because we believe we failed when really the whole idea that it has to last forever is the problem. And then she goes on to break down the three ways to deal with this. First, redefine what a relationship is. It's always synchronistic, understanding this length of time, idea, and that they're also cyclical, as we talked about. There's always a rebirth when something ends. One door closes, two windows open. And what I love is she challenges you to find the joy in the stage between the death and rebirth. And that's right where our friend Callie is right now, right? The death of the old relationship, the rebirth of a new relationships that maybe replace that void she's feeling. Find the joy in between by bringing the light of awareness to the scenario. And if you try to stay in the space of controlling the end or holding on to something, and this is something that really struck me, as I talked about earlier with my own personal past relationship, if you in any way you're holding on energetically to something that's behind you, you're stuck in a low vibration. All you need to do is vibrate up to the space of willingness and feel the sense of wonder about the rebirth process. Focus forward, right? You source always, your higher self always is focusing forward. Do the same thing. That's what we're here to do, is to get in alignment with this higher version of ourselves, our oversoul, if you will. It's always focusing forward, facing forward. You do the same and you're more in alignment with how the expanded version of yourself functions. How, that's our whole aim, is to merge fully. Well, this is a big part of that process. Thirdly, she says, she gives little cord cutting visualization, and it's something that I've been exposed to before, heard about a lot before. A very simple way to let go. And I thought it was interesting. She brought up Archangel Michael, who's popped up multiple times in the last few days. Someone had posted something about what Archangel is attached to your sign. And of course, I had to look, and Michael was mine. I'd never seen this before with Leo. Then Andrea, not sure how to pronounce it, one of the lovely Facebook group members and listeners, was talking about her son and some of the trials and tribulations she's had with him, and how she always incites Archangel Michael. And it was right after I'd read that. And now here it is popping up again. So Michael must be around. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you. And with that being said, and of course, we had the Belinda Womack interview a few weeks ago, who, talks to 12 archangels. And if you guys want to learn more about that, that's a whole nother interesting tangent and rabbit hole to go down. But for today's episode, I'm out of time. I do have a song that I played. I know I played it before, probably one of the first episodes that I played music, because I just love this song. It's one that's resonated with me for so long. It's just such a beautiful song, older song. But I've been playing some songs again, if enough time has passed, those that are some of my favorites, and this is definitely up there. This is Frou Frou, and the song is appropriately called Let Go. Until next time, journey well. See you on the flip side.
Drink up, baby, down. Are you in alright? Leave your things behind, 'cause it's all going off without you. Excuse me to be